Hello. Thanks for joining us again on the channel. I've always been curious about this one, and now that a friend picked one up, we can finally talk about it. His experience, start to finish. Quick note before we begin. There's a discount link in the description and the top comment if you want to check it out. Now, let's not waste any more time and jump right into the details.
Let's begin by examining the insights provided by our first reviewer.
This reviewer, a first-time electric bike owner, found themselves very impressed after just a few days with this new electric mountain bike. The machine feels solidly constructed and seems to be thoughtfully designed. On their first outing, our reviewer and their spouse logged 6 miles on flat pavement using only the throttle. The bike performed well, reaching speeds of over 20 miles per hour with a 183-pound rider, while their spouse enjoyed a more casual pace. This short trip used about a quarter of the battery, which seems reasonable given the frequent stops and starts. The ride quality itself was surprisingly comfortable, aided by the front suspension, and the client noted that the seller was very responsive to questions. Putting the machine together was mostly straightforward, though not without a few hiccups. The instruction manual could use an update, as its link to an assembly video was broken. However, a quick online search easily located the correct video. Our reviewer also ran into a couple of mechanical snags. The front suspension lockout switch was initially stuck, and the front brake caliper was too tight to fit over the brake disc. With a bit of troubleshooting, they were able to solve both issues, though the manual offered no guidance. Despite these initial setup challenges, the overall satisfaction is very high. The only unresolved issue is a constantly slipping gear system, which will require some research to adjust properly. Nevertheless, this client is extremely happy with the purchase, considering it a great value. They were so pleased, in fact, that they have already ordered a second one for their spouse. For anyone curious about its heft for transportation, they also weighed the bike and found it to be around 51 pounds with its 2-pound battery installed.
Cool. Let's uncover what our next reviewer has to say.
This reviewer found this electric bike to be a really nice piece of equipment with all the right features. Finishing the assembly was straightforward by following an online video, though a small adjustment to the rear derailleur was needed to get the gears to line up perfectly. Our reviewer purchased this electric bike specifically for a challenging commute from a rural area into the city. While the ride to work is mostly level and downhill, the return trip involves steep hills that are incredibly difficult on a standard bicycle. The hope was that this model would make that climb more manageable. A major selling point was its 21-speed gearing, a significant step up from the 7 speeds found on many similar models. Initially, there was some concern. The motor seemed less powerful than expected, and a first test on a moderate hill using only the throttle from a standstill was unsuccessful. However, that discouragement faded once they started pedaling. With the pedal assist engaged, the bike climbed with surprising ease. On the real test, the commute home, it performed exactly as needed. On hills steep enough to normally require walking, the bike maintained a steady speed of over 7 miles per hour without the rider feeling overworked. On a practical note, the client mentioned that the frame's shape and the battery's size leave little room for a water bottle cage, requiring a creative mounting solution on the crossbar. However, they were able to easily add a triangular tool pouch into the frame, along with a rear rack and saddlebags. Overall, our reviewer is very happy with this purchase, feeling it delivers great functionality. The only remaining question is its long-term durability, but for now, it has successfully transformed a difficult commute.
Alright, let's find out what our next reviewer has to share.
This reviewer initially found this electric bike to be a good product for those seeking a low-cost solution for pedal-assisted cycling. After only a couple of days of riding, they had no issues and were quite pleased with its performance. However, their experience took a sharp turn for the worse shortly thereafter. After using the bike regularly for commuting, our reviewer unexpectedly discovered the rear tire completely deflated one morning in their garage. Upon inspection, after removing the tube, they located a tiny hole near the Schrader valve, which was clearly the culprit. This unexpected failure quickly soured their initial positive impression, leading them to express significant disappointment and advise others to look elsewhere, suggesting that better quality might require a higher investment than this particular model. The situation escalated further when this client attempted to return the item. They were informed that shipping the bike back for a refund would incur a substantial personal cost, making it feel less like a full refund and more like a partial reimbursement. This lack of free return options, combined with the perceived defect, left our reviewer feeling incredibly frustrated and upset, lamenting the time and money they would have to spend to rectify what they felt was a manufacturing oversight. At this point, they were adamant that potential buyers should avoid purchasing anything from this company, citing cheap parts and a perceived lack of support for returns. Fortunately, the story didn't end there. Our reviewer decided to reach out directly to the bike's distributor. To their relief, instead of a full refund, the distributor offered a solution, a replacement tire. They even provided a video demonstrating how to properly install the new tube on the rear tire, which our reviewer found to be very helpful. The support team they interacted with proved to be effective in resolving the problem. Given this resolution, our reviewer revisited the...
That's all for today. If you liked this, hit that like button and subscribe. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments.